The boss's son had no clue I spoke 7 languages. He fired me on the spot, but the next day, the CEO asked, "Why did you let him go? Didn't you see the contract?" The CEO's son responded, "Wait, what? I will make him regret it. I strongly dislike your behavior. You must choose between being terminated or demoted." I was stunned when the executive vice president, Chris, spoke to me in that manner. Tomorrow is the final stage of the business deal, and he suddenly demanded to take over my role as the lead negotiator. I never anticipated such an emotional outburst from him. "What's the problem? This is your fault. You're being punished for outperforming me." Chris, who is the same age as me, just couldn't handle my success. I have no desire to work for a company where my superiors steal my accomplishments. I'm resigning. I'll leave tomorrow's negotiation to you, Executive Vice President. With that, I quickly exited the conference room just before the negotiation. President John appeared puzzled as his son Chris proudly declared he would handle it himself. "What do you mean? Mark was supposed to manage this matter. I fired him yesterday," Chris said proudly, causing his father to glare at him. "Why did you fire him? Didn't you review the negotiation materials?" Frantically flipping through the documents, Chris found a critical sentence he had overlooked, and his face turned pale. "My name is Mark, a 43-year-old employee. I've actually switched jobs 3 times already, but it wasn't due to layoffs or a company's closure. The real reason is a bit complicated, so I often said it was for career progression." During my 4th interview, most employers accepted this explanation without issue. However, one person, Vice President David, saw through my statement. "No, that's not the case," he said. "You don't seem like the type to change jobs solely for career advancement, and if that were the reason, you'd be aiming higher. Our company and your previous one are similar in size, just dealing with different products. What's the real motivation behind your job changes?" Realizing honesty was the best approach, I shrugged and shared the true reason with him. David listened intently, considering my explanation. "I understand your reasoning and why you concealed it. All right, I'll take care of it." With a sly grin, David concluded the interview, leaving me uncertain if I had met the requirements. I anxiously waited a couple of days, and when the notification arrived, I was stunned. It stated that they wanted to hire me as a sales manager. What does this mean? I applied for a supervisory position in the sales department. Panicked, I called to clarify if there was a mistake. David laughed heartily. "The current sales manager is about to retire. Given your background, Mark, there's no issue with you taking his place. Furthermore, a manager's role is to lead, not to be led. You understand what I mean, right?" Comprehending David's reasoning, I gratefully accepted the job offer. The workplace I joined was not at all uncomfortable. I found it peculiar that there were few employees my age, but interacting with the younger staff was refreshing. Even though I entered with a managerial status, I anticipated facing challenges with the transition, but there were no issues whatsoever. My younger leadership style was preferred by my team, who valued my openness to new ideas. However, one individual, EV Chris, took issue with my approach when I started giving orders after the previous sales manager's retirement. Chris openly criticized me, insisting that I should have sought his instructions before submitting the monthly business negotiation reports to the executive meeting. The other executives were puzzled by Chris's complaint, and I had no choice but to ask him directly what instructions he was referring to. Feeling frustrated, Chris unleashed a barrage of complaints towards me. He warned, "You are new to the role, like an inexperienced driver. Before you make any decisions, check with me or the other executives first." Comparing my extensive experience to a rookie driver was quite a stretch. As I pondered how to respond, David skillfully intervened. David vouched for me, stating that my predecessor, EVP Chris, endorsed me. He also mentioned that the sales staff found me easier to work with. Now convinced, the other executives agreed, but President John remained dissatisfied. Chris faced reprimand for his outburst. John advised, talented people can't perform well if constantly second-guessed. Moving forward, he stated that the sales department would handle all negotiations. Mark understood and seemed ready to take on the responsibility. However, it appeared Chris was frustrated that David and John had backed me up, as he began causing minor disruptions across the department. How many times has this happened now? I wondered. I noticed a growing sense of frustration on my team's faces. Lately, it seemed like we were constantly facing small but persistent obstacles, samples for negotiations arriving late or promotional material going missing. Even though the sales department handles the negotiations, we rely heavily on the support of other departments like materials and general affairs. Lately, that support has been lacking. I believe the root of the issue lies with Chris. Each department has its own supervisors, but no one seems to go against Chris's directives. Whenever he instructs them to delay samples or prioritize other orders, they comply. I can't entirely blame them, but it would have been helpful if they had at least informed the sales team ahead of time. My team has been trying to work around these challenges using alternative samples or other solutions. However, we've now uncovered what appears to be deliberate sabotage that could jeopardize our negotiations. We had reserved a hotel room for a meeting, but the reservation was suddenly cancelled. When we followed up with the hotel, they told us that someone from our company had cancelled it. I have no doubt that Chris is behind this. Confronting Chris directly was the only way to address the sabotage and prevent further delays in the negotiations. Despite his denials, the evidence clearly pointed to his involvement in the last-minute hotel room cancellation. Determined to uncover the truth, I entered his office ready to confront him. As expected, he claimed ignorance, blaming it on a simple mistake by my team. However, the facts didn't align with his story. The sudden cancellation, the limited knowledge of the room details, and the finance department's connection to Chris all suggested his culpability. Faced with the mounting evidence, Chris fell silent, unable to refute the accusations. Informing our clients about the change could raise suspicions, but I couldn't let his actions jeopardize the team's hard work. Resolving this issue was crucial to ensuring the success of the negotiations. I recognized the significance of the upcoming negotiation, so I chose to prioritize securing its successful completion over confronting Chris more forcefully. This negotiation is crucial, and any further interference from you will leave me no choice but to escalate the matter to the president. I can provide the recorded call as evidence at the executive meeting. Although Chris appeared to back down, I couldn't dismiss the possibility of him continuing his disruptive actions. True to my concerns, he decided to usurp control of the negotiation at the worst possible moment. Despite the challenges we'd already overcome, such as the hotel room change, the negotiation was nearing its conclusion, and I had expected the top executives to finalize the contract the following day. However, first thing in the morning, Chris summoned me to his office and declared, "I cannot entrust this important negotiation to you. I will take over, you need to worry about it." "I don't understand what's wrong," I said, perplexed. Chris frowned. "That's the issue. Why can't you simply follow your boss's instructions? You have a choice, get fired or be demoted. We don't require your services for this job." I was taken aback. Tomorrow was the final stage of the negotiations, and Chris's demand to take over the situation left me speechless. I never anticipated such an emotional outburst from him. "What's the problem?" "You're being punished for outshining me," Chris said, revealing his jealousy. Chris, being the same age as me, couldn't tolerate my success. He had been secretly sabotaging me, and now, seeing me close to sealing the deal, he decided to act directly. When I remained silent, Chris spoke with a gleeful expression. "You are getting arrogant just because you can speak English, right? Your resume shows you've worked at 3 different trading companies. We have plenty of people who can speak English at your level." I almost asked how he knew the details of my resume, but then I realized that. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.